Let's learn about the adaptations of the ileum. Now, before we even think about the adaptations of the ileum, let's appreciate where the ileum is and what it is and what its job is. Because then if we know where it is and what its job is, we can then think about how it's adapted to do that job very, very well. Okay, the ileum, it's part of our digestive system. Our digestive system begins with the mouth, where we have mechanical digestion taking place, where we're chewing food and we're releasing enzymes onto our food, like salivary amylase. The food then passes through the esophagus, and we have a process in the esophagus called peristalsis. That is when the kind of walls of the esophagus just undergo a little wave of a contraction, just a little bit, but just enough to make the ball of food or the bolus of food go down to the stomach after we've swallowed it. Okay. Once the food gets into the stomach, we have our hydrochloric acid to destroy our microbes, and we have protease enzyme here. Okay, then the food gets digested, and we also get the stomach churning the food, like the wall of the stomach kind of contracts a little bit, so it actually mixes the food as well. So there is a bit of mechanical digestion happening here as well. The food then leaves the stomach, and it receives from the gallbladder, which you can't see in this diagram, tucked behind the liver. The liver makes bile, it passes the bile on to the gallbladder, and the gallbladder passes the bile on to the digested food that's coming out the stomach through the bile duct. Now, the whole point of bile is to emulsify the fats so we can break them down. The whole point of this digestion is to break large molecules into smaller ones, and that is what happens in this region of the digestive system called the duodenum. Okay, that is where the food receives enzymes and large molecules are broken down to small ones, which means by the time the food gets to the small intestines, it's ready to be absorbed. The small intestines, this is the ileum. Okay, this is the ileum. And it's relatively long. Okay, and this is where food is absorbed. So the small molecules that we have now, our small molecules of food, our broken down food, are absorbed. And that is the job of the ileum. So the job of the ileum is for the efficient, effective absorption of small molecules into the blood, and the blood will then carry those molecules to wherever they need to go. Absorption. So the ileum is important in absorption, therefore the adaptations of the ileum will allow absorption of foods to happen better. Okay, so let's look at the ileum. At the moment we just see the ileum as this tube, but if we took the ileum and we looked at a cross section of it, we would see this structure here. The space in the middle where food can go is called the lumen. So this space in the middle, all of this space in the middle, the space where the food can go, is called the lumen. Okay, now the lumen is where the food is, and the food now needs to get to the blood vessels. The blood vessels are over here. So the food needs to go from the lumen into the blood through the ileum. So let's look at this in a little more detail. Let's look at this region here in a bit more detail. Here we've got our blood vessels. Okay, we've got blood vessels here, and we've got also lymphatic vessels as well. Okay, and we've got many, many, many foldings. So you see the inside, if I just draw my own diagram here, this is we've got the inner side of I'm just drawing a few, the diagram shows that there's so many. The inside of the ileum has foldings called villi. And these villi themselves have even more foldings on their surface as well. These are called microvilli. So not only have we got villi to increase the surface area, each villi itself has got its own microvilli, further improving the surface area for absorption. Okay. We have lots of blood capillaries, so that when substances move from the lumen into the blood capillaries take them away to where they got to go, so that more substances can move from the lumen into the blood and be taken to where they're going to go. Okay, so there are 5 adaptations of the ileum, 5 ways in which it's adapted for its job. Now, this question says explain 2. I'm going to give you all 5. And the word explain means what is it and how does it help? So you cannot just say what the adaptation is. You've got to say and what it helps to happen. Okay? What it helps to happen. The first one, let's go with the microvilli. So for 1 mark, we could have said there's the presence of microvilli. 1 mark. Okay? And the point that goes with that is why the microvilli a good idea? Because they provide a large surface area. That would have gotten you 2 marks. One for what the adaptation is, and another one for what it does. What does it help to do? Another adaptation, thin walls. Okay, the walls of the villi are very thin. Why is that a good idea? To shorten the distance for molecules to travel. Okay, so our molecules from the lumen to the blood, they only have a small distance to go. They don't have to travel far, which means that more can be. It's easier for absorption to happen. Third one, presence of capillaries. I'll put here lots of capillaries. Or we could say that there's a good blood supply. Same thing. Why is that a good idea? Because that in itself maintains what we call a concentration gradient. That means that there's always going to be a difference in concentration of molecules from the lumen to the blood. All right? There's always going to be more molecules in the lumen than there is going to be in the blood, because even when the molecules move into the blood, it gets taken away. So then the concentration of the capillary goes low again. Okay? So what we say is the presence of these capillaries maintains a concentration gradient. Okay? All right. We can put this one down. We can also say that there is lots and lots of mitochondria, of which there is. Okay? Because there's quite a little bit of active transport going on here as well. So we can say large number of mitochondria. That would have gotten you 1 mark. But you've got to say in the cells of villi. Be specific. Okay? Say where they are. And why is that a good idea? So we can increase the rate of active transport. Because remember, mitochondria is where respiration takes place. Respiration makes ATP. And ATP is needed for active transport. Okay? So I'm going to put some more ATP for active transport. Okay. And the last one, which we often just don't really think about, but is very important, is that there is the presence of smooth muscle. Now we know there's different types of muscle, right? We've already learnt about the different types of muscle. In the digestive system, in the ileum in particular, we have lots of smooth muscle. And that's a good idea because then that helps with peristalsis. Now, peristalsis is also going to be happening here because otherwise, how else is the food going to get through that massive long tube? Yeah, it's not just going to move by itself. It's going to need a bit of help with the walls of the ileum contracting just to like move the food along, a bit like the esophagus. Okay, so we have smooth muscle, helps with the process of peristalsis. Those are your 5 adaptations of the ileum for the absorption of food.